Okay, we're going to take a look at the syllabus for our class together because there's a whole lot of information on here that is really important, and I want us all to understand what we're looking at so that we can have a successful year together. So, the first box just says how to reach me. This is always a good spot to look at if you're not sure what my phone number is or what my email is, or how to get to my classroom where you can see some information about our class as well as the Google Classroom codes to our class. On the right side here, we have the class materials. So every single day you will need these 5 things. You will need your Chromebook. You will need to log on to Zoom every single day. You will need to open up a Nearpod lesson. You will bring your math journal to class, and you will have a pencil so that you can actually show your work in your math journal. If for some reason you will not have one of those materials that day, say either your computer's not working or maybe something happened to your math journal, please just let me know ahead of time. So you can either text me to tell me that or you can email me. Okay, moving on. Then we have our technology policy. This is super important because all of our learning is taking place on technology. So every single time that we log on to Zoom, the expectation is that your camera is on or set to your school picture. So we've already gone through how to set up your picture on Zoom to your school picture, so just make sure that you keep it that way, and that will be the expectation for our class and other classes across the 6th grade. Make sure that your microphone is muted if someone else is speaking. If it's an opportunity where I ask you to just share out, then you can of course unmute your microphone, but if someone else is talking or if I'm in the middle of teaching something, it is helpful to keep it muted just so we can't hear pets or siblings or someone else in the background that might distract from the learning. And then finally, this is a big one. Make sure that if you do have a phone that you set it to silent and put it away. I know it can be super tempting to look at when you're just watching a video or talking to someone on Zoom without your camera on, but it's really going to take away from your learning. You can totally look at it another time that a parent or guardian lets you look at it, but just not during class. In the next box, you can see more about me. So that's a picture of me. This is my 3rd year at KIPP, but it's my 1st year on the 6th grade team. Over the last 2 years, I taught 8th grade science. So if you have an older sibling or older cousin or friend, maybe I taught them and you can ask me about that. I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, so it's on the other side of the country. It's on the East Coast. It's right near New York and New Jersey. I love music, watching sports, especially the Philadelphia Eagles, and I really like to cook and eat. Let's keep going. So now let's take a look at standardized testing. So if you went to KSPA last year, you probably remember that we took a lot of standardized tests. Well, the good news is now we have something called the iReady diagnostic, and that's going to cut out a lot of the time that you're taking standardized tests. We will still take it though, and we're going to take it online next week. So this is the only time that you're going to have your camera on. It is actually a requirement from the entire district that you have your camera on during this test. So just be prepared for that and maybe let your family members know that during the week of August 31st, you will have your camera on while you are taking this test. Let's move on to our expectations. So these are kind of our norms summarized, but our norms definitely are much more specific. Just a quick reminder to come to class on time with your materials ready, so the 5 materials we listed earlier. Complete work on time and take ownership. So that means if you don't complete your work on time, make sure you own that and make sure that you find out what work you're missing and get it done. We're going to go over the missing work expectations in just a moment, and you'll find out more about that then. And finally, treat others in class with the care that they deserve. So we are all here to learn. Even if you don't always agree with a teammate, that's okay, but it's really important to respect each other, and to still be kind to one another while we're learning. Okay, moving on. So this is our absence policy in the class. So this is kind of what we were just talking about with the expectations and taking ownership of your work. So if you're absent one day, that's okay. Everyone gets sick and everyone has things that come up, but the expectation is that you do come to class. If you cannot come to class, that's okay. You're just going to make up the work for class on your own time. So that will be a part of your own responsibility to make that up. The way that you can do that is by following these 3 steps here where it says absent question mark. So go to Google Classroom for the class materials and make sure that you check the right date the date that you were absent. So if you're in class on a Tuesday but you are absent Monday, make sure you look at the work from Monday so that you can make up the work that you missed. Then you're going to complete the Nearpod lesson that's there, and you're going to submit any additional Google Forms or anything else that's posted under that date. And once you complete the Nearpod, you'll submit that as well as those forms. And if you have any other questions or concerns, you can email me with those questions. Okay, what we will cover. So this is just our scope and sequence for the year. So these are the whole units. So we're going to get started on Unit 1 tomorrow, and that is understanding rational numbers. And then we'll move on to these following 6 topics here. So fraction division, algebraic expressions, algebraic equations, understanding ratios, applying ratios and rates. If you have any questions ahead of time about any of that, please feel free to email me with those questions. But we will be getting started on math tomorrow, so get excited for that. And then let's move on to our grading. So our grade book this year is broken down into 3 sections. We have performance, progress, and participation. So performance is going to be assessments that you take, so that would be quizzes or tests. Progress is going to be growth between diagnostics. So between the first time that you take the iReady diagnostic and the second time, we will track your growth and you will get a grade for that. And then we can also track growth through exit tickets, which we will get into for a little bit later in the year. And then finally, a big part of your grade is your participation. So yes, that means participating in class, but it also means submitting your exit tickets, your assigned reflections, and the classwork that we complete together during our lessons. To the right, you can see the grading policy. So this is how much each one of these categories weighs in your grade book. So performance is 30% of your grade, progress is 30% of your grade, and participation is the largest part. It is 40% of your grade. And then finally, here at the bottom, we have a few learning resources listed. So Google Classroom is really the hub for all of your academics that are assigned from your teachers. You will find all of your math resources there for this class specifically, and then you will also find your materials for classes like ELD, social justice, and advisory, as well as all of your other content classes. Next is Nearpod. You will be using Nearpod in almost every one of your classes this year. If for some reason you have any trouble understanding how to use Nearpod or interact with the different slides on Nearpod, please reach out to me today because that's super important. We will be practicing it all week and I'll be giving you directions, but if you feel totally lost already, let me know as soon as possible. And then finally, maybe you've used Khan Academy in the past, maybe you haven't, but it's a great resource for learning math. And we are going to be using it in our lessons, and we're going to be using it in our independent practice. So sometimes you will be turning off your Zoom camera and going and watching some Khan Academy lessons on your own. Let me know if you have any questions about Khan Academy that come up, but tomorrow I will be giving you the directions on how to get to the assignments in Khan Academy. Okay, that is our syllabus. Go ahead and fill in the form in front of you about this syllabus, I'm going to scroll back up in case you need to see any of this information.